All right, welcome back to Walking Out Your Purpose podcast with yours truly, Alicia Smith. You all, I am so excited today because you all are in for a special treat. We're going to hear from a wonderful, wonderful woman of God, a friend of mine, a sister in Christ, and she's a sister from another color in the Divine Nine. But we're not going to talk about that today. But her name is Janine Turner. Welcome to the show, Janine.
Welcome. Hey, girl. Hey, boo. So you just gonna throw that color in there, ain't you? You just
You
had to
know we
say
have to.
something, huh? So you know what? I'm not gonna show out on your podcast. I'm really not gonna do that today. But I am so excited to be here. I am so proud of you. I am just ready to just have girl talk. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Let's talk it up.
Awesome. I love it. And I'm super, super excited for the audience to hear from you because you have a wealth of knowledge and you're a millennial and you're doing your thing, owning businesses. I love it. So we're going to get into all of that goodness today. So why don't we start with you just telling folks who is Janine?
So listen, okay, so Janine's very complicated, but kind of simple too. So listen, I don't know what to give your audience. I don't know if I give them just a little, all of me. I'm not sure. But I'm a wife.
Mhm.
I am a mother of two beautiful little girls, Ava and Nova. I am a woman of God. I am a woman who believes that reaching back to your community is like number one, right? I am an educator when it comes to personal finance. I am an entrepreneur. I am an innovator. I am a dream pusher. I like to challenge people. I like to stir the pot a little bit. But yes, I am everything with a little splash of something else.
I love it. Did you all hear all those things? What I love about that is what I have seen from you is you give your all in all of those things. So congratulations to you. You got a lot to teach us today so that we can be on that same path of just walking in our purpose. And that's what this show is all about, is trying to deliver to the masses, right? Because we believe big over here. But delivering to the masses that first of all, through Christ, we can do anything. And
Absolutely.
that it just takes one step forward. And there's so many different paths and so many different walks of life that people have, but guess what, they do it because it's something they're passionate about, they love it, and they just believe that they can do it. And I just want to get over to every single person that if you put your faith in God and you put your foot in front of the other, you too can have success, you can feel fulfilled in life, and you can walk around with your head held up high. So
Absolutely.
I love it. So tell everybody, if you could define your purpose, what is your purpose and when did you discover it?
So, I believe my purpose is going to sound so cliche, but my purpose, I truly believe, is to help people. Now, that could be so broad, right?
Yeah.
But like, I literally find myself every day, and I know that it's God doing it, but I find myself every day helping someone in some kind of capacity, whether that's personal finance, whether that's just being a shoulder to cry on, whether that's um, problem solving, you name it. I do it on a daily basis. And I know that's God doing it because I wake up every day and I'm like, you know what, God, put somebody in my life today that I can be inspired by and that I can inspire. And
Good.
when I tell you, when you ask God, He gonna deliver. And so I get it from all angles, but I really truly believe my sole purpose on this earth is to help people
Yeah.
in every capacity. You name it. I'm ready to just do God's work. And I truly, truly, truly believe that that is my purpose.
That's awesome. I love that. And you're right. A lot of people do say it, but I think God gives us such uniqueness about ourselves that your ability to touch someone, you probably could do it better than me in certain areas, right? If it comes down to whether it's personal finance, to your point, whether it's a shoulder to cry on, someone may feel more comfortable. They have that rapport, that relationship with you. So I think that God, although a lot of us feel that we are here to help another person, the way in which we do it, the approach we take, our uniqueness to it is what God has gifted us with. And so I think it's important to use those gifts and not let them be dormant. So I think that's great that you've discovered that's what you enjoy doing, and that you ask God to not only allow you to help others, but that you be poured into so that you have something to even pour out. So that's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
That is so important.
So how do you walk it out daily? How do you make sure that every day you're intentional about your purpose?
So I find that when you learn, and it's through experience, right? But when you learn to not shy away from obstacles,
Mm,
right? And when you understand what your responsibility is, especially being, a woman of Christ, right? And especially when you go to the kingdom and you ask for something and he delivers it, um, I think it's very important to not shy away from the obstacles that are put in your way. And I
yeah,
think walking in my purpose daily, that is something I try not to do. I try to um take on whatever is put on my plate. And you would be amazed at, if you, for example, and even in your career and even with doing this podcast, when you have obstacles
yeah.
and you don't shy away from them, for me, automatically that's me walking in my purpose,
Mhm.
because I find something or someone doing like just God's work. I promise. Like it, and it's insane because I get phone calls, I get texts, and even like through my clients. Like even through my clients, our conversations go way beyond finance.
Yeah.
It literally is me pouring into them and them pouring back into me.
Hmm.
So every day when you look to help people,
Yeah.
they're there. They're there every day.
Yeah. I think I actually is one thing that I just said on my last podcast is it's so important to be obedient. God gives us nudges all the
Mm,
time. He places people in our path. He brings things to our remembrance, or someone will drop something in our spirit, and we're like, man, how did you know that, or how did you? But it's all God, and the important thing is to say yes. And when we say yes, sometimes that yes can be a little scary.
yep, yep.
And sometimes that yes could be, amazing, but it will
Mhm.
all work for our good. So I
I
love that you
agree.
stated that, because that's so important. So I want to talk about this business, and because you talked about clients, so
Yes,
us folks over
ma'am.
here are interested in learning more about what is it that you do. I know that you do something with your husband, so maybe you could share with our listeners what your business is.
So listen, right? Okay, so I'm not even like, look, one day we were watching TV and I'm like, you know what? I saw Trump on TV and everybody's like, "Oh, Trump is a smart tax guy. Trump is a smart business guy, outside of his foolishness, right? Everyone praises him for his business savviness, right?" So, I'm like, "You know what?" I look to my husband, I'm like, "I want to know why the rich stay rich. Like I want to know and I want to learn taxes." And like, I'm like, we need to start our own tax firm because we both have business experience, right? So I have my bachelor's in business. I have
Okay.
5 years of banking experience, and we've done credit and all kind of stuff. So taxes is just like another uh, branch, I guess, that
Okay.
we got involved in. But I'm like, we need to learn taxes. We need to understand why the rich stay rich and then pour back into the community. And so that's the reason why we started taxes, to be honest, is because we're like, okay, how can we keep money in our pocket, right?
Yeah.
And how do we not give it away? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't
Or
understand
if we
that.
give it away, give it when we want to give it, and give it to the people that we want to.
Okay, say that. Say
Yes.
that. But legit, like it that is exactly how our tax business started. Just off me saying, I want to learn how to rich stay rich. And we have discovered so much in this past year, like just the education and the study on it and the classes and the courses. And oh man, listen, that's a whole nother podcast to break that thing down. I'll be happy to jump on. But yeah, so that's really how the tax business started.
Wow. And I want our listeners to hear that, right? So there was something they saw. They also saw a problem in our community, or a problem, for them, but also probably for others that they could solve. And then they went to work. to learn it, to master it, to be able to put themselves in a position to help others. And the key part of this too was, okay, we don't want to just help, we want to help anybody, but at the same time, we want to help those that are in our community, right? That we know need this education. And how do we, think about wealth long term and legacy and all of that. And again, it started from an idea that went to, hey, let's learn about it and then master it and teach others. Like that's
Mhm.
faith.
It is.
That literally is walking by faith,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because it's such a new territory. So I
Yes.
want to encourage people. This is the stuff that we've been talking about. You're hearing from people that are doing it, and that's the beautiful thing about these interviews, is that I wanted people to hear not just from me in my examples, but from people that are living out their purpose and doing things that fulfill them. So I love it. So I know that working with your husband, because I work with my husband too, not in a business standpoint, but in ministry. And it could be interesting. So I want to hear from you from a business perspective. How is it working with your husband? What's the good about it, and maybe what's one challenge?
So I mean, okay, so okay, look now. Okay. Here's the thing now, right? So working with him has been a blessing. I will say that, right? Because he is the strategic person. He is the he cares a lot about the process of
Mm,
things. And I'm just like, look, we just got to do it. Like, okay, here, let's just, all I care about is getting it done.
yeah,
He cares about the processes. So, when it comes to as far as like business, it's been a blessing because you need both,
yeah,
right? You need
absolutely.
both of those roles. You need someone who just wants to get the job done, who
Right.
knows how to execute, and one who really cares about the process and the structuring and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been a blessing. And two, it's also been a blessing because in business, when starting out a business, you can make tons of mistakes.
Yeah.
You do make tons of mistakes, right? But then I have that partner who can give me a little bit more grace.
Yeah.
I can give him a little bit more grace.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's been a true blessing. Now I would say some of the obstacles of doing it right is, a lot of our conversations now stem around business.
Mm,
So every time, even we have a long moment, it's still business,
yeah.
right? How do we grow it? Okay, what obstacles did we have today? How can we, improve on certain processes, XYZ? So what we have to do is we have to be very intentional,
Yeah.
right? So I think like last month, I'm not sure, we actually like got a hotel and was like, you know what? We are not talking business. I do not care to turn the phone over, put it on silent, like
Yeah.
absolutely not. So the blessing is that you do have that partner that you can feed off each other, but some of the obstacles are, okay, that's what you talk about now, right? It's business.
Yeah, it's like when you first have kids. It's like it's just that's all you talk about. It's like kids, 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 kids. I don't know if that ever stops till they're
Exactly.
18, but you know what I mean.
For real, it is.
Yeah, for sure. You can get kind of lost in it, but I think that's great. And as you mentioned, you do have a tax business, and I believe that you all are focused on helping people with their business taxes. But do you all do personal taxes as well?
Yep, we do personal taxes. Yep, absolutely. We do it all. Yep.
Awesome. So you
hmm
all hear that it's tax season. So we'll make sure that you have their information available so you can give them a ring. So, as we think about your tax business, you also have recently launched a ebook that I have. And I have read through, and I think the exercises are amazing and great. And I think one of the things that you tackle very well is mindset. So talk to a little bit about how you decided to do an ebook, and of course, we're going to provide the information later on how people can get it. But tell us kind of that process. How did you get there? Were you watching TV and something something came across your mind?
Listen, okay, I'll tell you this. So I have been asking and like bugging my husband, like, can you please buy me a MacBook? Like, I want a MacBook, like for years, right? And because I'm a very at the heart and soul of me is a creative person. I like to create in my sleep. but I just never really had the time to do it. And he finally got me a MacBook, and I'm like, oh my God, like it's my time to create. I'm gonna make it mine. I like when things look pretty, right? So I set my
Yeah.
whole background up and all kind of stuff, right?
Hmm.
So and I've always loved to write, always,
Mm.
but I never really did it after high school. Um, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna create me a book. And I'll tell you this, in the world of finance, it's so broad,
Yeah.
right? And nowadays, all you have to do is turn on your social media, pick up your phone or whatever it is, and there's a new financial guru out there. There's somebody who can, tell you this, sell you this, and all kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I could do a podcast on everything you can name finance, right? And what I find is the mindset of people around money, if you do not tackle the mindset regarding money, you can be a millionaire and still be broke
Yeah. Absolutely.
mentally,
Hmm.
mentally. And no one in my family, no one in my family ever taught me anything about finance,
Mm.
credit, budgeting, saving, investments, interest rates. No one's ever taught me about these things. I went to college, I racked up debt, nothing, right? And I wanted to do the ebook. Again, I could have did a how-to ebook. I could have told you how to boost your credit. I could have told you about the tax deductions and tax credits and, all that good stuff. But for the community and for if I wanted to really reach back and I wanted to have really authentic conversations with people, I thought, why not tackle the mindset? Why
Yeah.
not tackle and have people dig deep on the conversations that they heard growing up surrounding money?
Yeah.
Why not tackle those behaviors and habits that you saw growing up? Because believe it or not, you've taken some of those habits and beliefs
Yeah.
about money, right? And that has affected the way you manage your money, right? And people don't, they don't, it's just like going to a therapist about anything.
Yeah.
And I'm
Back in
not
your
a
childhood.
therapist.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist. I'm neither of that. So let me just go ahead and put that disclaimer out.
Right.
But I am someone who has gone through a lot, right? And especially financially, right? But so that's what the ebook is all about. It's about tackling the mindset. It's about asking those deeper questions to kind of make you understand why you spend the way you spend or what you didn't know, or maybe there were some phrases you heard growing up that maybe affected the way you spent your money or
Yeah.
didn't spend your money per se. But what inspired me about that is what inspired me to do the ebook was me talking to so many people about finances and legit their mindset
Hmm. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and there's a common theme, especially in our community, the black community, the black and brown community. There's a common theme, right? Their parents probably didn't even graduate high school, right? They live in the inner city, right, in poverty, right? They their mom and dad probably didn't have much, right? They saw their parents struggling, right? Mom worked a 9 to 5, dad worked a 9 to 5, if there was a dad inside the house, right? So I mean, it's a common theme, unfortunately. It really is. And you don't really stop to think on how all that played into your decision making
Yeah.
outside of money, just your decision making period. But it all ties together.
Yeah.
It all ties
Good.
together. And I'm hoping that if when people do buy the ebook or those who have bought the ebook, not only did those questions make you think about anything, all things finance, but it just those questions alone can have you kind
Yeah.
of digging deep on some things that happened that made you understand how you make decisions in life, period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it does. I know it does, right? Because I've definitely gone through and I've thought about some things, and it's a very good thing to just be, reflective. And this is the time, right? What else we doing? We in a pandemic. So we got time to,
Okay.
to really reflect and to really rewrite our story. And I think for, my family, my husband and I mean, we're really focused on rewriting the story, right? As far as what our children can expect from us. And it's not that our parents didn't try their best, and do
Right.
what they could, but we know better, so we're going to do better, right?
Mhm.
We're going to make sure that our kids go to school, and don't have to take out student loans, right? Number one,
That
because they're going to be, hopefully very smart and get scholarships and all that stuff. But also, we have a 529 set up for them, right? So, my parent didn't even know anything about that, right? So, I think the more, like you said, it's so easy now. You go on YouTube, you go on Google, you can just have information in front of you. But unless you change your mindset that, oh, me getting out of debt is not just so I can put up a picture and say I'm out of debt. It's so that I can have
exactly.
more money freed up to do X, Y, and Z, to set my family up, to give back to God, to give back to His people, all of those things. So that's why I love the book, and I think that people should definitely grab it, and really work on your mindset. Before you even get to the pen and paper for the budget or the computer for the budget.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah.
So no, that's awesome. So obviously we have, our faith in common. So, talk to us a little bit about your faith, and maybe, how do you combine your faith and what it is that you're doing kind of with your business, or, what you're doing with your life? How do those two things kind of intermingle?
So, okay, so faith is a powerful thing. Faith, I feel like I'm learning about faith every day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm for real. Like, and I'm in a mindset right now of just doing, right? And like God will handle the rest,
Mm,
right? Like I'm not a public speaker at all, right? Like I don't like to be on like different platforms where I have to speak a lot, but that's something I'm interested in doing. So it's so weird because it's like, okay, God is like, listen, you're gonna pick up that phone, you're gonna get in front of these people, and if you stumble on a word,
it's all good.
it's all good, right? So faith within a business, right? You starting a business, you gotta have faith,
Oh
period.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
if you ain't got faith, you ain't got no business starting a business at all, right? But having faith is so important um on a business level
Hmm.
and just on a personal level, because when God says move, you need to move,
That's right.
right?
Just like
No
that.
matter, right, just like that, for real, right? But faith plays a very important piece inside me and my husband's life,
Yeah.
especially because we have so many things we want to do, and different opportunities are coming up, and it's like you could sit and ponder all day about them, or are you going to just go ahead and execute and then let God handle the rest? Which one you gonna do? You
Girl,
can't. You
if I
can't.
could take the bike off the stand, I would just drop it.
You cannot be scared and have faith. I know
Yeah.
that's cliche, but it's so true. You got to just do it.
Yeah. And I think, the most important thing is to, even if it takes just, writing it down and say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. And here's why I'm fearful. Here's what
Mhm.
I'm scared of. Here's what I'm timid about. Here's what I'm hesitating on. Get it all, or to call somebody, whatever it needs to be for you. But it's so important. I think that's why it's a beautiful thing that you're working with your husband, because, like you said, you guys can be that rock for each other. But I think for those that are listening, if there is something that you're on the verge of, you know that you've been called to do it, you know that you have this, insight, and that you can take what you know and bless someone else's life, but you're just nervous. Listen, we all make mistakes. We're going to fall. Really, the most successful people have failed
Oh,
because they fell down, they learned something from it, and they kept it moving. So don't be afraid to that, even with this podcast, to your point. I was last year, I was thinking, and we were in the pandemic, and I said, man, I just want a creative outlet. I want to help people. How can I do that? Right. And I originally I wanted to do a YouTube channel, which I do have a YouTube channel, but originally it was a YouTube channel, and I decided to start with a podcast. And guess what, y'all? I just started. I set a date. I said my birthday, July
that's
28th,
it.
we're going live. If
That's
two
it.
people listen, my mama and my husband, because they ain't got no choice. But if two people listen, or more than two people, I am good. And God has just, blown my mind. So we don't want to just come off to Janine's point as just cliche, like, oh, just have faith, just start. But sometimes it is just start and see what happens and see what you like, and don't give up, because sometimes we're giving up right before God is like, man. If you could have only seen what I was about to do.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I love that you stated that, and that's how you and your husband are living out your dreams. And I pray all God's blessing over everything that you all do. You know, we're supporters over here in the Smith household of you guys, and we want to see you guys win. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show,
You.
because you guys are brilliant people. For those that don't know, they're also behind the media ministry, or part of the team that's part of the media ministry at church. So
Woo-hoo. Media
every time you see
ministry.
hope, it's because of these folks. I mean, they're just brilliant people. So I love that you share that about your faith. So it's we're in a pandemic, and right, Lord willing, it will lift at some point. But share with the audience, how have you had to pivot? How have you had to do things differently since we've been in this pandemic?
You know what? I'm still trying to pivot.
Yeah. For
I'm
sure.
still trying to pivot. I'm like, listen here, okay? One day I think I got it all together. The next day I'm like, I'm about to lose my mind, right? And
Yeah.
this is like straight up. Like I'm not coming on your podcast trying to tell you, listen, it's for real, for real. I have a 9-year-old upstairs at school, doing her work. I have a 2-year-old running around, right? And outside of our business, I do still work my 9 to 5.
Wow.
So
I
I'm
didn't know
working at
that. Wow.
Yes, yes. I'm working at home with the kids, the Wi-Fi not working and this and that. But I will tell you, I'm not typically a structured person
Mhm.
or like truly organized. But the pandemic has got me into the mindset of, listen, you need to be organized. You got to have some kind of structure, right? What are the times of days that you're going to get the most done? How can you maximize God's time, right? Because the time will get away from you.
Yeah,
It will get
absolutely.
away from you. Absolutely. So I think this pandemic has definitely showed me order, structure, and how to navigate through
Yeah.
all of this and how to shift,
Mm.
and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I'm a person, listen, I hate rules. Listen now, I don't like rules. Don't give me no rules. Don't tell me I gotta follow nothing. Cause I'm
Oh,
gonna break every
mercy.
single one of them,
Mm.
right? But it like you legit had to have rules in order. And yeah, this pandemic has definitely
Yeah.
changed my mindset.
Yeah. But you know what? I think that and through it all, we're learning about ourselves. We're learning how we've been stretched. We're being stretched. We're paying closer attention to our children.
Hmm.
We're learning more about how they learn.
Oh yeah.
We're learning about ourselves, and we're learning honestly how to literally trust God, because this is this is a where I mean it's it's hard to go outside, you know what I mean, so it's like this is we really have to trust God and know that he's ordering our steps, and it's a time to be creative, right? It's time for you to get your new MacBook, girl, and write you a book. And I just it's that's I think so much, of course we don't want to take away from those that have had losses or for things that have not gone right in the pandemic. Certainly we don't make light of that. But also it's just been a season though of so many people just figuring it out, right, and growing,
Mhm.
and doing great things like you're doing. So I love it. So why don't we going to wrap up? So just share, how do you stay inspired? How do you stay focused? How do you do it all? I mean, you just named like 50 things you're doing. So
So
how do
I
you
mean,
keep it going?
yeah, so in regards to like being inspired like by my business, I'm inspired by my clients,
Mhm.
right? Like every time I get on the phone with them, like I have a call after this. Every time I get on the phone with them, because every client is different, right?
Yeah.
Even your older clients, your newer clients. So every situation is different. And so every time I get on the phone with them, I'm like, you know what? You're doing the right thing. Every time I hang up the phone, I'm like, okay, you got to do more. So
Yeah.
like I'm inspired every time because every situation is different. Every conversation is different. And it gives me the satisfaction knowing that I hung up and that person learned something they didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. I love it. And it inspires me like every single call, every single meetup, like it inspires me to just keep pushing and keep doing more.
That's awesome. So tell folks, Janine, how they can get in touch with you, through social media or whatever you want to share, so that folks can be educated and inspired in their own way, so they can get their taxes in order, all that good stuff.
So listen, you can find me at Cap Tax Finance on all platforms. That's Instagram, Facebook, I believe Twitter. I don't really do too much on Twitter. My
Mhm.
husband, I don't think we do too much on Twitter, but it's the same
Yeah.
at Cap Tax Finance. You can find us there. The link to my ebook is on Instagram. It's
Okay.
link in the bio, or you
Perfect.
can go on my personal page. It's J9, it's J the number 9, YNE. The link to my ebook is also in there because we'll be changing the taking that link off soon. But if you go to my personal page, you'll be able to get the ebook there. But yeah, at Cap Tax Finance, go ahead, follow us, book your appointment. Let's talk, let's grow,
Yeah.
let's glow, let's get it.
I love it. I love it.
Let's
And for
talk,
those that are
let's
listening to this
talk.
audio, we're doing this via Zoom video. So we're just like loving the energy here. Well, thank you, Janine. I really do. Thank you. We love you, and we are just so proud of you and your husband and the work that you all are doing in so many different facets. You heard it all tonight. You're in ministry, you're in the tax business, you've got a personal finance stuff going on. So we're proud of you, and I am just a fan, and I am praying God's best for you, and that your business grow, that you grow,
Thank
that your
you.
husband grow, and that we'll talk again, sometime from now, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, like, look what God has done. So thank you so much for taking time out, because I know you got two babies, same thing. I got a 9 and 2.5 year old. So our kids are the same age. So yeah, so I know how that goes. So thank you again for coming on tonight. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, love.
All right.